And no one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
The United Nations will oversee complete disarmament of all the people under the ruse of preventing war. You better start talking to people, you better start warning people, because it's going to start happening soon.
The Jade-helmed martial law training that is to be conducted by the U.S. Special Forces, Navy SEALs, the Marines, and others.
In Turkey, a military coup is underway. The military says martial law has been imposed.
Gunfire on the streets of Istanbul. A witness saying tourists are blocked in hotels by soldiers.
A gunpocalypse.
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 The measure would make the Golden State the first to require background checks for those buying ammunition.
Instant background checks for anyone who goes into a store to buy ammunition.
Registration means confiscation.
So what does this illegal assault on our right to keep and bear arms mean for us?
The American dream is dead, and our government is doing the killing. I'm not saying they're trying to kill us, because who would be left to fund their agendas and wars if we weren't here to pay taxes? But don't expect them to save you either. If you get in the way of their political agenda, just look at Benghazi. What they're after is control and lots of money. And for years, they've been taking away our rights to bear arms, live off the land, and even stockpile our own food. They treat us like cockroaches, ready to whip out a can of Raid at any moment. And they're playing puppet master with our lives, making us drink, cook, and shower in deadly water, as our government officials falsify tests saying our water is safe, fining people for their own food gardens, forcing us to buy their chemical-laced foods while they are in bed profiting with Monsanto, forcing people to pay for electricity or risk being placed in jail for creating our own, placing mind-altering chemicals in our food to keep us under their control, monitoring our text and phone calls to know what we're doing 24/7, purposely baiting race wars for riots and unrest, making it dangerous for our children to even walk to the grocery store. If you think the president and his gang of losers are going to protect us, think again. In 2012, this moron signed into action a law making it clear that in the event of a national emergency, they can come into our homes and steal our stockpiles of food and ammunition. We want our families to have safe food and water and live in safe neighborhoods without them poisoning us or stealing our own food and water under what insiders call martial law. And now they're passing new legislation that strips .22 ammo off store shelves and confiscates your firearms, leaving millions of peaceful gun owners stranded without the means to defend their family against bloodthirsty maniacs. But we've got even bigger problems, because doomsday is hot on our heels, regardless of what form it takes. You've seen the news. Terrorist attacks, political riots, EMP blackouts, nuclear bombs, government plots, food shortages, natural disasters, you name it. So before it all blows up in your hometown and threatens to kill you and everybody you know and love, stop what you're doing and take the next 5 minutes to listen. Because I'm going to give you proof that you are not as safe as you think you are. Because when things go wrong in this world and nobody in charge is able or willing to do anything about it, and when the political organization as we know it becomes utterly useless, or they try and inflict martial law in order to take away everything from you and your family, the health and survival of your family is entirely up to you. What does that mean? There is no 911 for you to call for help. It means the self-defense course offered at your local gym will not save you. It means the few months of food and water you have saved up will not keep you fed. And it means all of the full of fluff ebooks and online articles written by people who have never been in a real life or death situation are fluffy nonsense. Oh, and just because you watched Naked and Afraid, it doesn't mean you'll be able to survive licking rainwater off the ground or out of strange plants, or eating random lizards, cockroaches, or other vile things in an attempt to just survive. Heck, if it really comes down to it, and those are my options, I would rather just die than spend my life eating grubs and finding water. Lucky for me, I am prepared for anything that threatens my family or myself. And I mean anything. And in just a moment, I'm going to reveal how you can safeguard yourself and your family from any threat. But first, I want to stress something. While things may never get to the point where you are stuck living off eating grubs and cockroaches, You should still be prepared for the very worst, even if you don't believe in the apocalypse, because we see the calamity on the news every day. North Korea is testing missiles and threatening to wipe the US off the planet. And while this has been a threat for decades, we just watched them have their first successful missile launch, only proving they are more determined than ever to destroy us. And North Korea isn't our only international threat. Russia had another near collision with our Air Force off the coast of California, which is over 22 times this year alone, purposely taunting us and telling us it is only a matter of time. And while you may think no one would be foolish enough to attack the US, if you look back in US history, it has happened. World War II was absolute hell on Americans. Japan attacked us on our own soil, which led to a major economic collapse in the US, the Great Depression. And if you think it couldn't happen again, as there is always someone who thinks it couldn't happen, just look at the economic spiral the economy took in the days after 9/11. Yes, we recovered from it, but if Russia flew over and dropped bombs on us tomorrow, or if ISIS pulls off a suicide bomber attack on one of our airports like they did in Istanbul, I can guarantee panic will ensue, and the economic fallout will hurt much more than the Wall Street elite this time. In times of war, survival is on the mind of everyone. And if you hadn't noticed, we are in war, whether our government wants to call it that or not. Combine that with an economic collapse and you already have a recipe for utter chaos here on our home turf. And it's not so far-fetched. Riots, looting, and political unrest are becoming the new norm in the US. Just think of the top headlines this year alone. Rioters in Ferguson, Missouri were setting fire to cars and buildings as they pelted rocks at the police and wiped the store shelves clean of everything. They even stripped the shelves of toilet paper. We saw live as the National Guard was deployed directly to Ferguson to try and gain back control. Taking them 3 days to bring peace to Ferguson. 3 days in just one city. Can you imagine if it were more widespread? And this is just one example. Recently, the entire city of Baltimore was held hostage and destroyed by rioters protesting the police. And let's throw in the violent protests that are happening at Donald Trump rallies this year and are getting worse as the election season progresses, with both Trump and anti-Trump supporters threatening severe consequences if he does or doesn't win in November, leaving us with guaranteed unrest coming this November. And whichever end of the political spectrum that you fall on, I bet you can agree the violence is getting out of hand. And it's much more than just gun rights issues, as it's clear the police and National Guard are not prepared to handle a widespread emergency situation. They even fail when it comes to natural disaster relief. Just look at their lack of response to Hurricane Katrina over a decade ago. Then the same lack of response to Hurricane Sandy a couple of years ago. If they truly cared about our safety and well-being, they had almost 10 years to develop a better disaster recovery plan. The point is, the world around us is getting increasingly dangerous. Just look at the poor Americans in San Bernardino who were slaughtered by ruthless ISIS terrorists as they were attending a normal holiday work party. We thought that was extreme and tragic, until we all turned on the news to see an ISIS wannabe had massacred 49 innocent people and wounded another 53 as they were happily dancing in a nightclub in Orlando. Someone who had been on the FBI's terrorist watch list, but apparently they weren't watching him enough. And the next day on the news, all we heard about is how we need gun control. No mention of a plan to keep us safe. And every day that you turn on the news, you're constantly reminded that anything can and will happen. Can you honestly say you and your family is 100% safe right now? No, you can't. So why don't you do everything you can to protect yourself and your family for whatever life throws your way? Can you sleep at ease at night knowing that you don't currently have a foolproof survival plan? What if you could lay every worry to rest and know that no matter what craziness happens in the world, your family is protected, that your entire family can survive any political unrest, war, riot, food shortage, crazed gunman, or violent attack? Wouldn't you sleep better at night, knowing you can lay any worries you have to rest? Because once you're armed with the knowledge and tactics I have inside this survival vault, Then you'll be equipped with all the self-sufficient tools you need to survive in every single area of your life. And the unknown will no longer be something to fear. Secondly, I'm going to put you in the position to not only survive during catastrophic times, without relying on eating lizards, bugs, and grubs and licking rainwater like you're on a never-ending episode of Naked and Afraid, but excel to the point where you will thrive as your fellow man runs to you in a panic, and the only words you'll be able to utter will be, "I told you so." There's no need to rely on any corporations, no need to invest your life savings, and no need to stock up on unnecessary supplies or weapons any longer, because you are about to discover how to survive any social breakdown scenario, whether it's political unrest or all-out war. Become an expert on weapons and ammunition to safely protect you and your family. Become completely prepped for world collapse with hidden secrets on medicine, food, water, power, and even your own cost-efficient bomb shelter, and much, much more. With my top secret survival guide, Social Breakdown Survival Vault, that was developed by an elite team of ex-government insiders with top security clearance and tactical survival training. Imagine being able to access the first and only visible survival vault of its kind, where you get a backdoor into a secret organization that hands over the ultimate guide for living through hard times or even the end of the world, when no help is on the way. It includes unheard of tactics and techniques that are classified, and to this day remain hidden from the public. Listen, my Social Breakdown Survival Vault is already working for many people. People like Kevin Crouch of Charleston, West Virginia, who writes, "When I first stumbled onto your website and watched your video presentation, I was extremely skeptical. There are just so many people on the web making all kinds of promises, and it seems like most of them are more concerned with the health of their wallet than with the true safety of American families. Luckily for me, I followed the instructions in your guide as it was put to the test during the flash floods that just claimed 23 lives here. The news called it the flood of 1,000 years, and lucky for me, I had the medications, food, and water to sustain being stuck in our home for nearly 2 weeks, as the roads had been literally washed away. I am now confident that my family now has the essential resources needed to survive any disaster situation. Thank you." And Tommy Sala of Winter Haven, Arizona, who says, "Living in the desert, I've always been afraid that if our drinking water was contaminated or the grid crashed, my wife and I would be in serious trouble. Fresh water's not exactly bountiful out here, and it's not easy storing a supply of food and water in 110-degree summers. That's why the video on your website has been a life changer. Let me know how I can help you get this out there to as many people as possible." Before I reveal how you can protect yourself and your family from any social breakdown collapse, let me quickly share with you who I am and how I created my foolproof social breakdown survival plan that works in any emergency situation. Hi, I'm Mark Harris, and upon my retirement from the military, I was forced to live off the grid because I was exposed to secrets that made me lose faith in our government and its economy as we know it. With the never-ending threat of government surveillance and privacy invasion, identity theft, terrorist threats, outbreaks of war, technological and financial collapse, and biological warfare, I've gone underground to the untraceable dark net and gathered every top-notch and totally secret expert I know. I'm talking about creating my dream team of people I know I could survive any threat with, and put together this vault to broadcast every single secret of safety and survival. I'm calling it the Social Breakdown Survival Vault. This survival vault contains the best kept secrets in the world, containing some of the rarest and most powerful information, true to life news, and survival tactics known to man. Now I know you must be excited to get started protecting you and your family for when the shit hits the fan. But more than that, you still might be wondering, what exactly is in my Social Breakdown Survival Vault? Well, this vault contains top secret intel on what martial law is and how to survive any catastrophic event, even if the government comes knocking for your food, shelter, guns, and ammunition. It's the first and only visible guide of its kind, which is why only a limited amount of people will ever be allowed access to it. Inside the Social Breakdown Survival Vault, you'll hear from ex-Special Forces, ex-NSA profilers, Homeland Security informants, ex-Secret Service agents, retired NASA workers, spies and mercenaries, government investigators, CIA whistleblowers, vigilante astrophysicists, biologists, anthropologists, botanists, explorative geophysicists, wildlife field biologists. And here's a sneak peek of everything we have in store for you. You will learn what martial law is and how to protect your rights, as well as understand why it's important to be prepared in case of public unrest. Once you discover your rights and why it's important to be prepared, we are going to provide you with ways to improvise a shelter or make the best of the shelter you have and make it bulletproof, as well as how to pick the best place for your home base and how you can keep your shelter hidden while still concealing your light sources at the same time. Then, once we have your shelter covered, we are going to cover why you need a backup generator for much more than just lights, and ways to protect your electronics from rain and lightning, as they will provide you with a connection to the outside world. Speaking of rain, you will also discover water collection laws. Yes, our government actually limits the amount of water you can collect and store, but we are revealing loopholes to ensure you don't have to worry about those limits, as well as revealing how to improvise rainwater and condensation catchers, all while ensuring your water is clean and safe to drink. And while you are saving water to drink, you are going to need food. And I'm going to provide you with a guide on how to ration supplies for any size family and what to do to keep from running out of food, by discovering how to improve rudimentary traps and snares to catch food without wasting ammunition and without relying on eating bugs and grubs. Plus, you will discover what plants, flowers, herbs, etc. to avoid eating or coming in contact with, and how to tell if your game is safe to eat. And it doesn't end there. My Social Breakdown Survival Vault also will ensure your health is taken care of when shit hits the fan, because we are revealing to you the 7 most important medical supplies to keep on hand, and how to improvise bandages to take care of severe wounds. And if providing you with food, shelter, water, and medical information wasn't enough, I demanded that we include how to protect yourself by stockpiling guns and ammunition without violating any laws, all while providing you with basic gun safety for you and your family to ensure none of you accidentally hurt yourselves or someone else. Guns are meant for food and survival, and we are going to show you how to conserve your ammo for 5 of the top-rated survival weapons out there. Plus, I'm also providing you with practical ways to start preparing so that you don't break your budget and so that you don't become overwhelmed, while giving you peace of mind in knowing that no matter if a hurricane strikes tomorrow, or if Russia decides to drop a bomb on us in the middle of the night, you and your family are 100% safe and secure, with enough food, water, medications, and weapons to survive any tragedy. Honestly, it isn't a question on if something bad will happen, because as you can tell whenever you turn the news on, tragedy strikes every day and the casualty count is going up, making it not a question of if something tragic will happen, but rather than when it will happen. And you can't wait to start preparing for later. You must take action today to truly prepare you and your precious cargo from what can come tomorrow, by downloading Social Breakdown Survival Vault now. And then you'll have everything you need to make your own customized checklist of what to do before and after the shit hits the fan, and have a perpetual source of supplies for not if, but when the crisis hits, to save you and your family from disaster or even worse, death. The Social Breakdown Survival Vault has already helped save the lives of fellow Americans. People like Ashley Madison from Galveston, Texas, who was able to save her leg after following our medical advice. During a tornado in Galveston earlier this year, a tree went through my roof, cutting into my leg deeply. Luckily for me, I saw Mark's video and followed the advice in the Survival Vault. I was able to quickly bandage up my wounds until the roads became safe for an ambulance, which was 2 days later. Without this vault and the advice given, doctors attest that I would have probably lost my entire leg. Thank you, Mark, for saving my leg. And Chris Thompson of Gulf Breeze, Florida, who was lost at sea on his boat for nearly a week before the Coast Guard found him. While I initially got your survival vault to prepare my family for a disaster, I ended up needing the advice for my boating trip this past spring where the weather got bad and my boat became inoperable. Lucky for me, I knew how to create my own drinking water, which saved my life. All thanks to this survival vault, I know that I can survive anything now. And if you're ready to protect you and your family from anything that comes your way, and if spending tens of thousands of dollars on a long-term stockpile of supplies is not your idea of preparedness, and if you want to be food independent and to put healthy, nutritious food on your table even in a disaster situation, if you've ever wanted a simple way to build a virtually unlimited long-term stockpile almost on autopilot, then you've finally found it. In today's world of chaos and terrorism, the biggest worry is the true ability to protect your family. Social Breakdown Survival Vault will give you the peace of mind that comes from knowing that should a disaster strike, your family won't be stranded on the dangerous streets. Social Breakdown Survival Vault is jam-packed with all the knowledge you need to have for life-saving success with surviving the apocalypse, not in years of trial and error, but in as little as today, and provides you with an accurate prediction plan for when the shit hits the fan. Takes the fear out of the unknown by giving you the hardcore knowledge of what you and your family personally need to survive any catastrophe. No more playing hide and seek online, searching through endless information on survival sites, guessing what you'll need but not ever knowing for sure if you've accounted for everything. No more wondering if your existing stockpile will keep your family alive for a week, a month, or years if it comes to that. No more guesswork, no more wondering, no more wasting money on things you might not need. Thousands of deserving families have already made the investment in the Social Breakdown Survival Vault, and the regular retail price is $147. But since I'm a firm believer that every American, no matter their economic status, should be armed with everything they can to protect themselves and their families, for a limited time only, I'm going to cut the investment price to download Social Breakdown Survival Vault by more than 75%. If you act today, and only while this website is still available, you're going to get the entire Social Breakdown Survival Vault for the incredible low price you see below this video. But if you want to take advantage of this rare discount, you must take action right now by clicking the big Add to Cart button directly below this video. It takes all of 5 seconds, and once you hit enter, you'll immediately be taken straight away to download Social Breakdown Survival Vault, where you will be armed with everything you need to survive, from building a hidden shelter to stockpiling food, water, and ammunition while avoiding martial law. And all you have to do is click on the orange button below to secure your instant 75% off savings, as well as you and your family's safety when shit hits the fan. Now, you and I both know the shit is already hitting the fan. Just turn on the news. And if we don't get this information out to as many people as we can right now, we are as good as dead. I know everyone is telling us we could charge more, but we just won't do it, because we care too much about our country and think it is vital to get this information out to as many people as possible. So make the wisest decision for you and your family and prepare today for tomorrow by clicking on the orange button below. It takes all of 5 seconds, and once you hit enter, you'll immediately be given full access to the Social Breakdown Survival Vault. You'll be able to view the entire Survival Vault with illustrated instructions and the material list right from your computer, smartphone, or tablet. You'll also be able to download all of the files, and you can print out as many copies of the blueprints and materials list as you'd like. On top of your instant access, I'm also going to make sure that you are able to protect your family in the most pain-free experience you ever have in your life. That's why, when you take advantage of this significant discounted investment price today, you're also going to get unlimited customer support for life. So while the chances that you'll need this support are slim, I want to make dead certain that if you do, I'm right there to help you. After you've completed your order, you'll be given my personal email address. And if there is even a split second where you feel confused or that you don't know what the next step is, or even if you just want to know if you can substitute one part for another, which a lot of times you can do, simply send me an email and I will personally work with you to get your questions answered. There is only one thing standing between you and truly defending your family and your constitutional rights to bear arms. And that's the orange button you see below this screen right now. But if you're still feeling unsure about the Social Breakdown Survival Vault, then there's one more thing to remember. And that's my 60-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Here's how it works. Right now, you just need to say maybe to the Social Breakdown Survival Vault. Click the Add to Cart button you see right now and claim your instant access to the Survival Vault that will save your life. You will be shocked by how much you realized you didn't know. And you will be amazed by just how quickly the Social Breakdown Survival Vault provides you with life-saving solutions for any coming tragedy. And amazed at how quickly you know the laws to protect your gun rights, as well as how to legally stockpile ammunition before you can never find it again, as well as food and water, or be able to live even without access to medications. But if for any reason you're not blown away by the results, all you have to do is send an email to the address I'll give you inside the Social Breakdown Survival Vault, and I will quickly refund your entire investment with 0 questions asked. All of the risk is on me here, and that's completely fine. So at this point, the choice is yours. You could just click away from this presentation and work hard to forget what you've just seen. But if tragedy strikes tomorrow, could you look at the face of a loved one and explain that you could have prevented the death of a family member? Aren't you going to ask yourself why you didn't make the easy decision to click a button and try Social Breakdown Survival Vault risk-free today? Why on earth would you consciously make the decision to not want to find out how to protect your family when the shit hits the fan while saving money at the same time? Especially when all you have to do is click the Add to Cart button you see below right now. Do that and you'll have full access to the Social Breakdown Survival Vault in the next 5 minutes. Claim your instant access to the custom survival protocol that will save your life by providing you with detailed blueprints with solutions, the materials list, the unlimited lifetime support, and everything else that's included to protect you and your family when the shit hits the fan. Make this choice and you won't have to live in fear as long as you live. You'll receive unlimited lifetime support, and you'll be covered by a full 100% money-back guarantee that's good for 60 days. I think your decision is pretty obvious, but I can't click that orange button for you. So go ahead and invest in the Social Breakdown Survival Vault right now. Join the thousands of families who have realized that there is a better, simpler, and dramatically more cost-effective way to protect your family for when shit hits the fan.